My clock's off because it was daylight savings time, so I'm like, well, I'm late. No, I'm not. I'm on time. And we're driving backwards. It rained last night. It's just like, everything's wet. It's all beautiful. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. This is the Learn with John Eick podcast. I'm driving to work on a Monday morning. It's Monday morning. It's day 58. I'm heading to work. It's beautiful. It rained last night. It's like everything's all, you know how it is. Like everything's clear and sparkly after a night of rain. Ooh, I bet I could see the Sierras if I look off on the horizon. Hey, I'm just riffing on my 180 days of driving to work on all things edu, and in the day, what did I say? Like day 50 to day 80, I was going to try to do 30 days of what makes school culture, a place where you want to work, a place you want to jam. And today, I haven't really formulated this riff yet in my mind. So, if you're a long-time listener, you know how it goes. We kind of ramble, we backstep, we sidestep into the topic, and then we eventually find our groove. So if you're a first-time listener, you're like, what? This guy's rambling. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. Thanks for catching on. I really don't. But I'm wandering down this little rabbit hole. I don't know where I got to. How did I get there? I think I was listening to something this weekend. That's what it was. It was a podcast like This American Life. And they said, kids these days. They got me with the title because I was like, oh yeah, kids these days, right? Now I got a riff or two on kids these days. I love kids these days, man. Our kids are the greatest. But their riff on This American Life was like, yeah, kids these days. These kids are raised in a wild time. There isn't a kid out there in high school, allegedly, says this, newscaster. There isn't a high schooler out there that hasn't thought of themselves like, what would I do in the case of a lockdown, right? What would I do if an active shooter drill started, or started right here at my school? Imagine, I don't know how old you are. I'm 51. I couldn't remember. That never crossed my mind in high school, but there's not a high schooler today who isn't thinking about that. Okay, wow, that's interesting. Like, what a tough time to be a kid, man. Another thing is, kids these days, they're growing up in a space where, America around them is behaving, however we're behaving, and that is what it is. But I want to flip the script and be like, okay, kids got it tough for sure. They're just growing up, but they don't know any different. They're growing up in the world they're growing up in. What I wonder about is teachers. I just talk about like, hey, how to make a school culture where you never want to leave. I don't know how many people are leaving their schools because their school culture sucks, or how many people are leaving the industry because they're like, hey, look, man, every day I wake up, and I drive to school, I think, man, I hope that's not today. Who else? I don't know. I'm asking. Who else wakes up in the context of, gosh, I hope there's not a mass shooting at the place that I work today. Now, I am certain that we are not alone in the education industry. I'm sure other people think about that and have to prepare for that, have to consider that. However, if you work in another one of these places that are considered targets, are you also in charge of like young lives while considering if this is going to go down? Like, you're an educator and you're like, hey, I have to consider every day whether or not this is going to be that day. And not only do I have to consider it for the context of myself, but like, I'm in charge of these little humans who I love. I love. I have a relationship. It's not like you're, working at a public space event where you're like, yeah, people are going to buy tickets and come in. I got to look out for their safety, and that's a big deal. But like, no. You're going to spend, weeks, months, years developing relationships with community. And to think that you might walk into that space and that community might have this awful event and you might have, your life in danger and also the lives of the people you love in danger, that's a lot. That's a lot to carry, right? Okay, check. Also, hey, in this political context of like, we're politicizing and putting on the ballot and putting on the headlines, like whether or not students or young people should have rights to, whatever it is they want to have rights to regarding their identity, sexuality, bathroom issues, whatever. As a teacher, you have to wake up every morning and be like, ooh, I hope I don't step in that one today. Hope I don't accidentally misuse somebody's pronoun or read the roll call and use somebody's dead name. These are serious issues because, again, as a teacher, you walk into that space like, hey man, I'm trying to do good. I'm trying to do right by the community in front of me, these children whom I love. I don't want to harm anybody. I don't want to do any wrong. However, who's under more attack today than the teacher, right? Because if you do it right for the one kid, you may have done it wrong for another kid, and either way, you have to answer to your constituents who are the parents, right? And they can be really upset and take it out on you. So I wonder, as we talk about how to create a school culture that you don't want to leave, I wonder, man, the life of the teacher is different than it maybe ever was, and I think it still could be an amazing industry to be in. But I worry about the teacher. I worry about the educator, because the principal feels with the vice principal. Heck, I'm the superintendent in my organization, and I think about these things every day. I hope to not screw these things up every day. I hope to make it home every day. So it's interesting, what can you do about this? I don't have the answer to this question, but again, going back to creating a school culture, I do know that in all of these scenarios, it is really negative to feel isolated and alone in these situations, right? Another thing that's bubbled up, it's 100% true that, post-pandemic or wherever we are in America today, communities have changed. I think over the last 50 years, the American family has become less supportive of the institution of education, less trusting, and therefore more willing to attack. But more so in the last 5 years, we've seen people really willing to kind of lash out and be on the aggressive toward the educator. And look, an educator takes a vow of poverty to serve these amazing communities that we serve. They didn't sign up for hazard pay. You know what I mean? I think that's where the big cognitive dissonance is right there, because you're like, hey, those who step into really dangerous jobs, our firefighters, our police officers, these first responders to critical, our military, we support hazard pay. We're like, hey, these people are putting their lives on the line, and those who are going to suffer really the slings and arrows of aggression, whether that's just verbal or physical, at any time somebody can walk in and either have a verbal aggressive moment or a physical. People are out there afraid that someone's going to walk in their classroom and get physical. I don't know, man. Is the compensation appropriate? It's clearly not. So what can we do while we're fighting for compensation and full funding in the legislature for educators? At some point, maybe somebody's going to reframe this industry, and look at how it's funded. But while that's happening, I think the one thing we can do is make sure that isolation's not a compounding factor to these really hard realities that it is to be an educator. Gosh, I've just rambled on today. I'm almost out of drive. I'm pulling up to my school. I love this place. I love the people I work with, and all of these things that make me think, gosh, it is really hard to be an educator today. And we haven't even touched on student behavior. Maybe that'll be another one later down the line, as well as the overwhelming asks of society, and to produce outcomes and test scores and close achievement gaps and all the things that we're trying to do in education. These are really hard asks, and I guess I wonder what can we do from a cultural standpoint, and it is probably just enough to ask today to fight isolation. Find ways to connect educators with one another. Find ways to connect educators with parents who are supportive and want to be a part of the organization. Find ways to allow educators to have joyful moments with students. We had a staff-student volleyball game on Friday, and then we just all laughed and giggled. I got to tell you, finding ways to combat isolation hopefully offsets some of the actualities that are facing the educator today. Who is kind of a dark riff on a Monday, but I guess it was just what's on my mind. I hope you don't mind. Hey, reach out to me with any thoughts you have. My name is John Eick. You can find me on the Twitters at John_Eick. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time.